Harihi Om. Ganana tva Ganapati Gom Havamahe Kavim Kavinamupamashravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspatha Anashannalo Devisi Dasadanam Prano Devi Saraswati Vaje Virvajinivati Dinamamitrayavato Ganeshaya Namaha Saraswatyai Namaha Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Vandhe Shambham Umapatim Suraguru Vandhe Jagadkaranam Vande Nagabhushamrgadaram Vande Pashunam Pathim Vande Surya Shashanka Vanninayanam Vande Mugunda Priyam Vande Bhaktajana Hridaya Varadam Vande Shivam Shankaram Om Srida Srisa Srinivasa Srinidhi Shremi Bhavanaha Sridhara Srikara Shreye Shremam Lokatraya Sraye Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Saishwararphanamastu. So Swagatam Namo Namaha. Welcome to the second session in the series on the talks on the intriguing subject or concept of karma. So last week I started by giving you some conceptual background, some introductory considerations that underlie the entire concept on which the entire concept of karma is built. So this week I'm going to talk to you about the two types of karma, namely prarabdha karma and sanchita karma, right? Two karmas. And then next week we will close the topic of karma by looking at the remaining two types, which is agame and kriyamana karma, right? More or less similar, but there is some distinction. So I think the distinction is important for you to know so that when the topic comes up or this is mentioned, at least you will know the difference and you may be able to substantiate your own, standpoint. So without further ado, let us move into prarabdha karma and sanchita karma. The first thing I'd like to start off with is what Lord Krishna told Arjuna, and this again, I will go in depth when I do the Bhagavad Gita sessions, which begins from October. He said this is chapter 8, where Krishna is talking about, one of the Yoga Shastras that distinguishes the Atma from the Brahma Param, So he says to Arjuna, Aksharam Param Brahma Swabhavyo Dhyatma Muchyate Bhutha Bhavot Bhavakaro Visarga Karma Samniyatham. Aksharam Brahma Paramo Swabhavo Dhyatma Muchyate Bhutha Bhavot Bhavakaro Visarga Karma Samniyatham. He says Brahma Param, he is the supreme imperishable energy. Then the second line he says, Dhyatma Muchyate. He said, you, on the other hand, Arjuna, are the individual nature. You remember last week I told you about the wheel that is samsara chakra, that is continuously churning. As long as you don't identify yourself with the center point, which holds the wheel that turns and churns, but the center point itself does not turn or churn. And that is the Brahma Padam, right? The Brahma Param. So if you continue to churn around it, you will be continuing life after life after life after life. But in a lifetime or in 2 lifetimes or whatever the case may be, in every individual case it's different, If you latch on, latch on, latch on, latch on, latch on, and you reach the center point, then you will see everything else around you is turning continuously, but you yourself are not turning. That is the point of crystallization. That means you have merged. Brahma padam tvam akshaya. So you have actually merged with the Brahma. He says, then Arjuna says, so Bhagavan, how to do that? How to get let's close? He says, do everything in his name. Do not claim award, reward, or recognition. Right? Something I'll come back to, particularly in the context of how we behave within the organization. Okay. So Krishna said, Aksharam Brahma Param. Swabhavo Dhyatma Muchyate Bhutha Bhavat Bhavukaro Visarga Karma Samniyatham. So he says, you want to merge, then you start today. Dedicate all your actions to him. Never claim award, reward, or recognition. All fruits, Sarvam Krishnarpanam. Sarvam Sai Arpanam. Choice is yours, isn't it? So that's the problem. You see, the thing is, it's easy when we listen to it, but it's difficult to put it into practice, isn't it? But it's not impossible, my dear friends. It is possible. So take out the I am in front of the word possible. Or you look at the same word, impossible, but look at it and read it as I am possible, instead of saying impossible. Nothing is impossible to a willing mind. Nothing is impossible to an open mind. So why do you say it's impossible? If everything was impossible, we wouldn't be living, right, where we are today, right? If the Wright brothers had said, building a plane was impossible, although people in the village thought they had been, struck by the devil and, caught by the witch and so on and so forth, they stoned them out of the village. But they still today, we are flying jets, right? So do not think for a moment what has been handed down by divine grace in the form of reading materials and literatures and all that. Do not for one moment think, right, it will forsake you in any manner. It is given in order for you to realize that you are never to be forsaken at any point in time. That is the, right, shraddha or faith that you need. Remember last week I told you, yat dhyati tat ichati, yat ichati tat karoti, yat karoti tat bhavami. First the thought will come. Thought comes where? In the mind. Right? Then you will say, this is nice if I have it, So the thoughts become desire, or desire become thoughts, they play. Then you say, okay, I need to get this done. Then you dwell on the action. Yat ichati tat karoti. Then of course you will make it happen, right, isn't it? But if you are going to go down the lane of entertaining every, base desire, then you are going down the wrong path. You are given the intelligence and the sense of discrimination to say, do I need this? Do I want this? Is this necessary for me to carry on my life? An exercise. See, I tell you a story about three friends, right? They were having, they were educated fellows, three good friends, but they couldn't find a job. And every day they used to meet and say, like, what are we going to do? How are we going to do? Then one friend out of the three, he brought a newspaper cutting and said, in the city, about 200 miles away, there is a new construction project and they're employing engineers, right? So why don't we go? So, okay, they planned to go. And, they told the family everything. They packed their bags. They were going, the bus, those days only bus was the main form of transport. Then the bus had to go through, some jungle-based path. And at one part, the bus broke down and the driver said, we can't do anything. We have to wait until the next bus comes, which is the next day. Those of you who want to walk, you can walk. Those of you who want to go wait, you can wait. It's up to you. So these three fellows said, okay, we will walk. Right? They walked for a bit, then night fell. So they decided to look for a place where they can, build like a small tent, a hut or something, and then stay the night or something. Just a little makeshift one. So they found a place like a little café kind of thing. They said, "Oh look, why don't we just go there, and then use our bag as pillows and just rough it out. The next morning we'll walk." So as they went into the cave, one of them stumbled on like a rock or something and he fell. So when they lit a match after that, they found that it was a bag. And when they looked inside the bag, it was a bag of gold, all gold coins in there. Wow, they were so thrilled, Then they said, "Okay, three of us, we will take this. When we reach the town, we will go into a hotel, and we will share this among the three of us." All three agreed, okay, fine. So they slept, they put the bag in the middle and all three slept around the bag. Now, next morning, they were all hungry and, tired and hungry. So they said, "Look, before we walk, we need some food." So one of them said, "Why don't you all wait here? I know the next town is, going this way, eastwards. So I'll go to the town. I'll buy back food for all three of us. We'll eat, and then we'll go northwards towards the city where we are originally destined to go." So the other two fellows said, "Okay." Now, this is the story so far, right? Now, this is where karma kicks in. Yat dhyati tat icchati, yat icchati tat karoti, yat karoti tat bhavami, right? So the fellow who went to buy the food, buying the food, and then he's coming back, he's thinking, "That's a big bag of gold, I will get everything if something happens to my two friends." So he goes back to the town, buys, a bottle of poison, mixes it in the two food bags that he had bought. Yeah? But obviously he's marked them, so, he doesn't eat that one of them. Then he goes back. Now, while he's going back to the cave, the two fellows have decided, why do we want to share this with the third fellow, right? Look, when he comes, we'll push him from the cave down. It's like a ravine. And then we'll share, these two between us. Thought, yat dhyati tat icchati. First, the other fellow thought about poison and killing these two other guys. He went and executed that thought into action, right? And yet karoti tat bhavami. As the action, so the consequence, right? So he bought that, he put it in the food, and he's coming back. These two fellas, yat dhyati tat icchati, yat icchati tat karoti. They were waiting for this guy to come back. And they were standing at the edge there, like as though they were looking. So when his friend came, he put the food back down. He said, "Hey, what are you guys looking at?" He said, "No, can you see? There's like the little mother bird they're trying to feed." So this fellow went and looked, curiously, and then they pushed him. So he fell to his death. Now these two fellows are very happy. They said, "Wow, now everything is for you and me 50-50. Not 30%, but 50%, 33% rather." So they went, they sat down to eat the food. What happened? They ate the food and they died. So none of them got anything. You see, this is how God sometimes empowers us by giving us what we need, But because our thinking is flawed, because our thinking becomes adharmic, because our thinking is going the other way, we don't get what is already in our hands. There's the expression, so near yet so far. Exactly, this story. So this one is talking about lobham. Kamam, krodham, lobham, moham, madam, mamadam, matshiram, ahamkaram, 8 ashtadoshas. This is talking about lobham. Swami has said so many times, lobham, krodham, kamam, destruction. And even when I did Bhajagovindam with you, I think I said in the second shloka, Muda, Jahihi, Danagama Trishnam, Guru Sadbuddhim, Manasivi Trishnam, Yella Bashe Nija Karmopatam, Vittam Tena Vinodaya Chittam, Bhajagovindam, Govindam, Bhajamudamate. Muda, fool. This is Shankara. Anyone who doesn't use their intellect given is a Muda, according to Shankara, right? And I will second that anytime. So it's in your control, it's in your choice. Nobody is coming and telling you, don't use your intelligence, don't be clever, don't be smart. Use intelligence, use discussion. You choose not to use, you choose not to use, you choose not to use, finish. So why blame everybody else? The Muda, Jahihi, Danagama Trishna, move away from this thirst of greed. Guru Sat Buddhim Manasavi Trishnam, put your mind, all the faculties that is there, put it, Guru Sat Buddhim. Yella Bashe Nija Karmopadam, when you surrender in that level, God will give you what you need. Vittam Tena Vinodayachtam. With that you continue your life, you will be fine. If that is not enough, Swami has given you. Manasa Bajare Guru Charanam, Dustara Bhavasagara Taranam. Finish. I will take you across this ocean of samsara once you surrender your mind to me. No, we sing it. We will sing it like no other day. But we don't reflect on the inner meaning. Right? So there we are. That brings me to Prarabdha Karma. Prarabdha Karma is that kind of karma, a form of karma that has matured. Right? So it's another name. Prarabdha Karma means matured karma. Matured means it will show itself, isn't it? Like that. Like a fruit which has ripened. A ripe fruit does not stay in the stalk. It falls. And people will say, go and pick all the ripe fruit. How will I know it's all on the ground? Only ripe fruits fall. So what about that? They are not ripe, don't pick them. So Prarabdha Karma is that which has matured, has ripened, and is fit to do whatever it is meant to do. Right? Of course, it has to detach itself, then only it is ripened. If you go and pull, it is not Prarabdha, because you have, interfered with the forces of nature by pulling it from its from its stalk. That is Sanchita. For that, your actions will go into the storeroom. Keep, wait, it's coming. Right? So, when the result of an act that you have already committed in the past, and I'm talking about not just past in this life, past in previous lives. When it comes to you in this life, that is Prarabdha. So whatever we are going through now, hard times, difficult times, challenging times, all those times, it is our Prarabdha from previous karmic balances. Previous karmic balances that has come from the Sanchita. Sanchita is the storehouse. So it's telling, oh, this time, okay, you are born as Vigneswaran Krishnan, you are born on this day, this time, okay. Right, this is what I will release from time to time. And you will face all this. But how you live this life will determine what goes into the storeroom. You see, it's a fantastic science, right? I mean, when you go deeper and deeper into it, you will think, my God, what a balance in approach. A super balance, not one little stone is left unturned. Every single thing is accounted for. Every single thing. And when I say every single thing, I mean every single thought, every single word, and every single action. So what is God trying to tell us? He said, hey, I've given you this life. You have full control of your thoughts. You have full control of your words. You have full control of your actions. All I want is them to be balanced. Trikarana Suddhi. So don't think bad, don't think harm, don't think negative, don't think evil. Don't talk the same thing, and don't feel or do the same thing. When your life is that balanced like that, you accumulate no karma. Remember I said to you, akarma, vikarma, sukarma. Okay? See, Prarabdha is, like I said, the bowman. He shot the arrow. Once he shot, the arrow will hit the target. No one can escape it, least of all the target. Right? So Prarabdha in our life, we have to go through it. We have to face it. There's no other way. Absolutely no other way. Right? We are facing what we have brought with us. But not everything that we brought with us. Some things is released to you in this life. Then based on how you live this life, it goes into your Sanchita, and that sort of balances itself in there, and then your next life, it releases a bit more. Some people have got so little that they are born, and that life, that soul, in order to be freed, after 3 days or 3 hours or 16 hours or 3 months, that soul will leave. Not in your hands. The best of doctors cannot stop that. right? 100%. This is karma. That's why the best of doctors, after they do what they do, you see these in movies, and you also probably have heard of family and friends, or perhaps in your own life as well. Doctors will come and tell you, we've done everything else. Now it's up to them. Pray to your deva or whatever. So there is a force to be reckoned with, right? So we have to be conscious of that, right? The thing is, the wheels of God, I've also said this, right? The wheels of God grind exceedingly slow, but superbly fine. You know, the dust, there is no kernels, smooth dust. So one of them asked me, actually, after my talk last week, one of them sent me a message and asked me, doctor, if you say everything is predestined, right, then why are we wasting time doing anything? I said, because you are alive. Because you have got this life. You have been given prana shakti, the ability to live in this life. So why must you say, if you don't live, of course, that choice is entirely yours. Remember, you can accumulate karma by doing something or by not doing something. By thinking something or by thinking something that you didn't think of or doing something that you should have done or you should have done in some way or other. So I said, you have an ability to, tinker with your past karmas by living this life totally in a karmic balance, totally in a dharmic way. If you choose not to do anything at all, then what's the difference between you and a tree, or you and a cat, or you and a dog? Because they don't do anything, they just exist. That's why they're taken in as pets, so that somebody can give them food, somebody can look after them. When you become an invalid, then someone else will do that for you. But until then, you are given this prana shakti, you have to live, and you have to live dharmically, right? That is why the laws of karma work. Because everything is down to you. Everything is down to us, every individual. No one can blame anyone else. No one can blame anyone else. So some basic things, like I said to you last week, right? Life is a preparation. Death is the examination. How you've lived your life, only death will say, okay, very good. Next stage up. Oh, you did all this. Go back down, right? Whether you go up to Swargaloga, whether you go down to Patala Loga, no one else can determine except you, right? And many people ask, so if I do a lot of good, brother, in this life, will it cancel all my bad? Good karma and bad karma, my friends, do not cancel one another out, right? It's not a trade. So there can be no trade-offs. Whatever you do in this life, good or bad, goes into the sanchita. Remember the storeroom. It waits there. Of course, if you do more good, punya phalan you will get. If you do more bad, papa phalan you will get, right? So is there no way to escape karma? Of course there is. I told you, akarma. Akarma means totally nothing is my doing. And that means good things. You can't do something bad and say it's not my doing. That is your doing, right? Doing good, thinking good, speaking good. I'm not the doer, it is he. And all fruits are his, not mine. Practice, learn, continue to do, and you'll see slowly. I said the wheels of God grind very slowly, but they grind exceedingly fine. Right? In that same way, you will slowly see your life turning around. Right? If life turned on immediately, the moment you do something good, right, nobody will appreciate it. So they'll do 20 bad things. One day they'll do something good. Next day they can feel the difference. No. Good things come to those who wait. And so the Bible says only the meek and the patient will inherit the earth. Right? So remember, what is Sukarma? I said to you last week, right? If you haven't seen, you can go and watch the YouTube video. Akarma and Vikarma. Right? Akarma is the best. Right? Vikarma is the worst, then Sukarma, then Akarma. Slowly you get to that stage. Right? 3 grades in Karma Yoga. Anyway, I'll be talking about this again when I address Bhagavad Gita. Right? So coming back to that conversation between Arjuna and Krishna, Krishna says, Karmanye avadikalascha ma palesu kadachana ma karma pala hetur bhur ma te sangostavam mani. कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्थे मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्म फलहेतुर्भूर् मा ते संगो स्थव कर्मणि. He says, Arjuna, you are born as a Kshatriya. Interestingly, right? Someone asked me, if Krishna is God and Arjuna is man, why is Krishna asking Arjuna to fight? Isn't it, shouldn't he be preaching ahimsa? I said, well, if someone is a butcher, they are a butcher. You cannot ask him to become a farmer. He has to do what butchers do. A farmer has to do what a farmer does. You cannot ask the farmer to become a butcher and the butcher to become a farmer. Likewise, Arjuna was a Kshatriya. Kshatriya's job is to defend dharma. And what was the adharma there? Right? Kauravas. Everything the Kauravas did was adharmic. And so Krishna says, fight. You are not fighting your cousin. You are fighting adharma. Whoever commits adharma, you are fighting them. You are standing for the principle of dharma. Don't look at who is breaking the law. Look at upholding the law. That's why he says, you don't renounce the battle. You have to fight the battle because that is your dharma. But renounce the consequences of the battle by declaring all the fruits go to him. Then you don't incur anything. But the moment you want award, you want reward, you want recognition. This is what we do, isn't it? The moment you are able to sing a little well, finish. You will find yourself the most fit person to comment on everybody else who's singing. How these people all sing in Sai Bhajans? You'll be thinking like that, or you'll be saying like that, or you'll be doing something. Brother, if you want me to sing, right, then I should only sing with these people. Please remove all the others because they're not good enough. Reflect on how you have been behaving, right? This happens in many, many Sai organizations, right? It's not just one place. All over the world it is like that because human nature is the same all over the world. It doesn't matter whether you are in, South Africa, or whether you're in Malaysia, or whether you're in India, or whether you are in, Andhra for that matter, South America, wherever you may be. So Krishna tells Arjuna, you have a right to perform your prescribed duties, but ma phalesu kadachanaha. You are not entitled to the fruits of your actions. So why do you crave? Why you crave for them? Never consider yourself to be the cause of the results of your activities, nor should you be. Mate sango stava karmani. No, nor should you be attached to the inactions. Right? So prarabdha karma, according to Swami Sivananda, Swami Nivananda, Sivananda says it is the portion of sanchita karma which influences the present human life. That is prarabdha. It is ripe for reaping. It cannot be avoided. It cannot be changed. It is a debt that has to be exhausted by experience. It is a debt that has to be exhausted by experience. So we have no choice. Because that's what we brought, isn't it? That's what we have brought. Each lifetime that you endure, that you go through, a certain portion of sanchita karma, most suited for the spiritual evolution. At that time, that is what will be chosen to be worked out during the course of one's lifetime, right? Subsequently, in this lifetime, although you are experiencing fruits of past actions, but you can create good fruits in this lifetime. That is in your control. That is why every human life form is a fantastic opportunity for us to move one. If you go one step up, that means, you're one step less from the ground. Correct or not? If you go one step up, you're one step less from the ground. So build up on the good karmas. At some point, you will be above bad karmas. 100%. But that can only happen when these three faculties are in alignment. Thoughts, words, and actions. What Swami says, the 3 H, right? Head, hearts, and hands. So there you go. It's all been given one. So how this thing works, brother? This prarabdha karma has got 3 different categories. Ichcha prarabdha, aniccha prarabdha, parichcha prarabdha. Ichcha prarabdha, aniccha prarabdha, and parichcha prarabdha. What are they? Okay, ichcha is something that is coming out of you, your own thoughts, your own words, your own actions. personal desire or personally desired, if you like. Anicca, without desire, you do something, and that, gives rise to consequences. Ichcha is with desire, anicca is without desire. Sometimes we do things, without thinking, isn't it? Without any desire, but it creates some wrong. It interferes, Pariccha, Ichcha is mine, anicca is not mine, I don't have it. Pariccha is someone else's want. So let's say, I'm, what should I say? Okay, so let me make myself an example, right? That's the best, because if I talk about anybody, say, oh, you talk about me. No right to talk about me. So let's say I'm a spiritual coordinator, for example, right? A regional spiritual coordinator. So we are organizing a regional event, and I'm in charge of the 2-hour bhajans, right? So let's say there are 18 bhajans on offer. This I'm talking to give you an explanation about Pariccha and what happens in the Sai circles. What we are doing is recognizing the reality of things. Okay, we are not gossiping. The reason why I'm saying this is because people should stop. Otherwise, we'll fall into the domain of hypocrisy. So, important thing, right? Take the lesson from the story. Don't focus on the story. Then you'll be creating another story. For that, sukarma, you will get something, right? Akarma, not my doing. So let's say I have to choose 18 and I've got 36 bhajans people have given, right? Now, what is the criteria for my choosing? I must make sure that every center is represented in the region. I must make sure that it's a selection of good singers, right? That should be the only criteria. So if I choose only the people whom I think, not on the basis of their ability, but on the basis of how I know them, or how I know people who are close to me who know them, who tell me, hey, Vic, brother, don't put this fellow from that center, don't put this fellow from this center. At the end of the day, everybody will blame you. You're thinking, oh, correct, man, brother. You're looking after my well-being. How nice. Okay. You tell me who I should put. So when I stop exercising my own faculties of intelligence and I began to listen to someone, then this is exactly what happened to Dasharatha. What happened? Because Kaikeyi listened to Mandara. So many stories, isn't it? When you don't use your own intelligence, your own sense of discrimination, downfall is the only consequence. Yet, why do we engage in this? That is, we must get out of this practice of hypocrisy. Saying one thing in front, saying another thing in the back. So when you say Sai Ram, you are telling I am Ram, or at least I am like Ram, or I want to be like Ram. But I am Ram means you're already there. The spiritual auspicious, that is the self, as a spiritual auspicious, that is the self, I, is Ram. But that is the spiritual auspicious, not the natural self, that is me. The other fellow also then tells you, Sai Ram, brother, Sai Ram, sister. Why do we say that and then insult the man? So please move away, because this is either Ichcha, you personally desire something, or you don't desire but you do something, or it is Pariccha, others desire you to do something and you fall foul to their thoughts. Because then you are no longer in control of your own intelligence, of your own sense of discrimination, of your own faculties. So 3 types of prarabdha karma. You can accumulate prarabdha karma in this life so that it goes to your sanchita and then it will come out as prarabdha in another life by either Ichcha Shakti, Anicca Shakti, or Pariccha Shakti. Yourself, not yourself, or as a cause of others. So always, there's nothing wrong in taking opinions. By the end of the day, you make the decision. You exercise, You see, so it's like 3 types, Ichcha, Pariccha, and Anicca, right? To a Jivan Mukti, to a realized soul, to a Jnani, there is no Ichcha Prarabdha. There is only Ichcha is desire, because a Jnani, a self-realized soul, one who has got self-realization, has no desires. But he may do something because others desire it. Don't Swami himself, right? He had no desires. But people will go to him and ask for many things. So he will grant them. So no Ichcha Prarabdha Karma, but there is Anicca and Parichcha. Right? Jivan Mukta has to undergo even that. Jnani has to go under that. Swami said many times so. I am this on one day and I am that on another day and I am something else on another day because different karmic consequences affect me on different days. Though I myself do not have any desires. Ichcha, I don't have. But Anicca, I have to do because I have come for that role. Parichcha, you come and ask me, Swami, give me this, Swami, give me that, Swami, give me that, Swami. Finish. Right? So like I said earlier, once the arrow has been shot and he's left his hands, he cannot recall it. The archer cannot recall the arrow that he has shot. That is prarabdha. It will go and do something to someone, to something, right? There will be consequences. But then he takes another arrow from his little, the quiver on his back. He's got many arrows there, isn't it? The quiver with the arrows inside, that is sanchita. Now he's taking one and is getting ready to shoot, that is agami. Kriyama. Act. And it depends whether the natural act, unnatural act, intentful act, unintentful act, inadvertent, advertent, all that comes into play. Right? But once you leave, that's it. Prarabdha takes place. Right? Like if you have a big food store, right? The granary, let's say. The granary represents the sanchita. If you need more, specific type of lentils, you will take that out. If you need sugar, you'll take more sugar. If you need dark sugar, you'll take dark sugar. If you need flour, you take flour, like that. But the storage is that you will take as and when you need. Likewise, sanchita will release from a karma perspective. Sanchita will release as and when necessary for you to experience your prarabdha in this life. Right? Nada Bindu Upanishad. Very, very nicely it says, "O intelligent man, spend your life always in the knowing of the supreme bliss, enjoying the whole of your prarabdha without making any complaint. Then life is a smooth journey. Although there are little, imbalances, but life goes on. So don't complain. Say, I will go through because you are with me." There is a beautiful saying called the footprints. Many of you would know this, right? Whenever you have any problem, right, read this thing, the footprints. It's called the footprints. If you just Google the footprints, it will come. Let me see if I can recall it, right? It was a man who, after death, merged with God. And then God said, "Is there anything you want to see or do before I take you, to your final place of resting?" He says, "Lord, I want to see, my past flash before me before we go on that journey." So the Lord said, "Okay, you will see it," right? And then it was like a scene alongside a beach, and at every point in time, he saw two sets of footprints. So he questioned God. He said, "God, how come, there's two sets of footprints, and then at some point, there's only one set of footprint?" So he asked, "What is the two set of footprints?" He said, "One footprint is mine. The other footprint is yours. I have always been with you throughout your life." So then this fellow is asking, what about all that part when there was only one? You left me when I most needed you? And God replies, "My dear son, when you see only one set of footprints, it is during those times that I carried you and I walked the journey." So never think for a moment, in your limited sense of thinking, in your limited senses of perception, in your limited sense of conception, in your limited sense of acceptance, that God will forsake you. Never. And simply by virtue of thinking, he does not go back on his word. Your thinking is your thinking. That doesn't make me what I am. But you look at man and his life, whatever somebody says automatically becomes reaction, response. If you want to react, everything someone says about you becomes true. If you want to respond, you will take, like Buddha says, I didn't accept it, so take it back. Finish. Life goes on. Very simple. Choice is yours, how you want to do, isn't it? 99.9 people will react. Percentage. So become that one. Dare to be different. Become the exception, not the norm. Right? So is there any way in which prarabdha karma can end in this life? Someone asked Ramana Maharishi once, and he said, yeah. What is karma? Karma is all about me, I. So the moment that I is no longer there, how can karma? Because karma only attaches itself to I. So if you get rid of the I, karma has nothing to stand on. It will disappear. It will dissipate. So how do we do that? That you get divine grace, anugraha. But no, you're not interested in anugraha. You rather go around the navagraha. I told you before, and I've told you, when I did the talk on navagraha on YouTube in May, I think it was May and June. I said to you, always where there is a problem, there will be a solution given. If you are so intent that the navagraha or the planets are going to spoil your life and riddle your life with so much of difficulties, then there are two god forms who are not affected by the navagrahas, to whom the navagrahas are subservient, subordinate. They are Ganesha and Hanuman. And there are so many shlokas that you can say to Ganesha and Hanuman in order to get rid of this navagrahas effects. So there is always a way out. It's what you choose to do, right? Same thing. Bhakti Yoga and Bhagavad Gita also talks about concept of kripa, anugraha, right? It will get you out of your doldrums. You can. You see, let me talk to you about how to get rid of the prarabdha karma scientifically, right? Because some of you are scientists, some of you are doctors, so I have to also talk about it from a scientific perspective. Let's talk about cells. C-E-L-L, cells. If you are creating a healthy cell, you means, your body, what you perceive, what you smell, what you hear, what you eat, all these ways, right? The Yoga Shastras say all the koshas will help you in creating the type of human body physique that you want to have. So let's say you are creating a healthy cell. What happens when you create one healthy cell? All the Kauravas, the unhealthy cells, will come and try to push through. They will try to contaminate, they will try to affect, they will try to infect, they will try to negate. They will do everything to get rid of that one fellow. That's why Kauravas were 100, Pandavas were 5. Who won? 5. What is the 5? They are not 5 Pandavas, they are 5 senses. 5 senses, if exercised properly on the basis and contingencies of dharma, can even defeat 100 vices. That is the significance of Pandavas, Pancha Pandavas, and Ashtotra, Kauravas, right? Anyways, the moment you create one cell, 100 cells will come. So you create one more to help this good cell. You keep creating and producing healthy cells, healthy cells, healthy cells, healthy cells. At some point, the unhealthy fellows will say, look, brother, this is a dying battle, right? This is a losing battle. So let's just, accept defeat and go away. At some point, all the negative cells will die a natural death. But the main thing is you don't give up producing good cells. The good cells are good thoughts. The bad cells are the negative thoughts. The good cells are good words. The bad cells are bad words. Bad as in negative, evil, discriminatory, that sort of thing. And of course, the good cells are good actions and the bad cells are bad actions. So that's one way to get rid of, right? So in this lifetime itself, you will see the difference in this lifetime itself, right? Prarabdha karma can be contained. So giving you a chance, isn't it? So you've committed a crime, they've caught you and put you in prison because you behaved very well, you're helping, you're doing so many things. They said, okay, out of as a result of good behavior, we let you go early. So now you're out, you're no longer in jail, they've given you reprieve. But if you don't live your life properly and you recommit a crime, or you commit another crime, then they put you back. And this time you don't have a chance. So this is what I'm talking about, prarabdha. Right? So every time your mind says do something wrong or do something not right, do something not adharmic, you have to move on. Right? So to tell you that this actually works and can be done, I'm going to tell you a story about Mr. Raju, let's say. Okay. So Raju was living in a village with his wife and 3 children. Very poor family, right? They never had enough to eat. Raju works very hard, typical story. And sometimes they survive on 1 meal a day, right? He was a woodcutter, and if he sells his wood, they get to eat a meal, Sometimes 1 meal is shared by all. Sometimes Raju will not eat, his wife will not eat, but they will leave the meal for their 3 children. The 3 children will always want more, Bapa, Papu, Bapa, or Papa, or whatever, Pa, or whatever, and you give us more food, more food, more food. So, but they survive. They, slowly get on. Once they had that some rishi had come to the village for a few days, and this rishi had the power of communicating with God. Most rishis do have that power, right? 100%. They can communicate with the divine. 100%, right? You can't accept it because your mind is closed. Okay, so let's leave it there. The moment you're open and you recognize there are forces outside your own force, outside your own capacity, which is limited, then you will realize, look, okay, open. Anyway, so Raju went to him, waited for all the crowd to disperse and say, Maharishi, I need you to ask, I know you can communicate with God. Ask God when my life will improve. This is a common question most of us have, isn't it? When is my life going to improve? Like these I've been for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, or whatever the case may be. Right? Whenever even some rishis or some, we go and ask that question, isn't it? My life, when will it improve? When will it improve? Right? So Rishi said, okay, come back tomorrow. So Raju went off. Night time Rishi meditated and spoke to God. He said, this man has come. You know who has come, right? And you heard his question. Because when I was listening, I know you were listening too. So there is no need for me to repeat. Tell me, what's the position with him? So God is telling the Rishi, oh Rishi, Raju, in this lifetime, because of his karmic consequences, in his lifetime, he has only a limited amount of food for throughout his life. So what I'm doing is I'm giving it to him little by little so that his entire life he will have enough food, and the day he dies, he will still have a little bit of food. So go and tell him that. Right? This is the story. So next day, Raju waited, and after everybody left, the Rishi called him and he said, this is what God said. In this lifetime, because of your past karmas, you only have limited amount of food. So what God is doing is, he is giving you little by little by little so that your entire life, you have enough food. Even though it's little, even though it's limited, even though it's restricted, you have enough until you die. So Raju went back and thought about it. Next day, he went back to the Rishi and said, please, can you talk to God and ask him to give me everything I have? So at least, I'm willing to take the chances. Are you sure? One practice with the rishis, right? They will never tell you no straight away. They will ask you, are you sure? This is exactly what Krishna does too. Whether he's talking to the Pandavas, whether he's talking to Draupadi, whether he's talking to Gandhari, whether he's talking to Kunti, it doesn't matter. He will ask them, is this what you want? Because at the end of the day, you asked for it. Anyway, so Raju said, yes, Rishi. So Rishi spoke to God, and God listened to him and said, okay, if that's what he wants, tathastu, right? The next day, the Rishi went and told Raju, you will have all the food for the rest of your life at one go, right? Where do you want it? You have to show land. So he showed a field there, and the entire field was filled with food. Remember, it's food for the entire lifetime, right? So Raju was elated. Oh, he was overjoyed. My children was overjoyed. After 2 or 3 days, they realized too much food, we can't do anything with it. So, and of course, some of it will go bad, isn't it, after some time. So what he decided to do, he decided to call everybody in the village who had no food and also the surrounding villages. Called everybody, come. This went on for many years. Many years. Then the Rishi, after many years, he returned to the village and he saw this Raju fellow still around. So that night he had a conversation with God. He said, how come? You said he has limited food. When you give him all the food, his life will end. But how come he's still there? And then God told the Rishi, that's true. You see, all this is happening because of karma, right? All the food that without any expectation of any returns that Raju is giving everybody, what do those people eat and say? Remember I said Icha as a personal desire, Anicca without any personal desire, and Paricha as a result of what other people desire also, you can be affected by Prarabdha karma, right? That's what I said earlier. So God is telling the Rishi, when all these people eat, what do they say to Raju? They bless him. May you have a long life. May you continue to give this annadhana, food. May you have a lot of wealth. May you live for a long life. All these wishes of all these people is what I am granting. As far as Raju is concerned, his position has changed as a result of his change in his thinking, what he's doing, and what he's telling everybody, come and eat, come and eat, come and eat. And as a result of the continuous blessings he's getting from everybody, that has impacted his prarabdha that he's enjoying. So no one can come and say, my prarabdha is this, nothing can change it. No. Of course you can change it, right? So with that, we move into Sanchita. Sanchita, right? What is Sanchita? Sanchita is a storehouse. Whatever good you do in this lifetime, here and now, goes into Sanchita. Whatever bad you do in this lifetime, here and now, also goes into Sanchita. And out of that, it releases some in this lifetime, but not everything it can release in one lifetime, right? So it will release little bits. Like medicine, 1 tablet 3 times a day. What will happen if you take 3 at once? Just because you don't want to take it in the afternoon and the evening, finish. Like karma is like that, right? Little caplets will come, 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, 1 in the evening, like that. 1 in this time of your life, 1 in that time of your life, 1 in the other time of your life. Sometimes Sanchita karma might take years or even lifetimes. Give you a good example. I told you about Dhritarashtra. 99 lifetimes before that, he plucked out the eyes of swans, killed 100 birds. 100 years later, or 100 lifetimes later, he had enough punya to be born as a human being. And that too, born in the Kuru dynasty. Dhritarashtra, the king, blind. Why? Sanchita is finally released. Remember you did this? Now you be blind. Oh, you also killed 100 lives, right? Birds. You'll get 100 children and they will all die. So, Sanchita comes back to you. Like I said, it's a boomerang effect. So Sanchita keeps everything. Sanchita is the sum of all the total fruits. Total fruits means good and bad, obtained during past births. When we are born with Sanchita. And then throughout the life, Sanchita releases some bad. But if it's overly bad, it will release some good, so there is some balance. When you're going through a difficult period, right? Always think, am I the most unfortunate person on the face of this earth? The answer will definitely be no. Right? That's it. So you're lucky. Give gratitude and continue. I've always said, if God brings you to a problem, He will bring you through the problem. So why do you worry? You have the answer, but you have to worry. Why? That is your doing. So whatever you're feeling, whether in thoughts or emotions or physically, it's all you're doing. So don't blame anyone else. Right? At the time of death, many karmas remain incomplete, right? Asset and liability, remember? So all this goes to your sanchita. That's why they say all the time, think of God, say the God. That's why all our names are all God names. Right? All our names. My name Vigneshwaran, Ganesh, right? So many names. Durga, Lakshmi, Saras, all the names have God. If you don't believe, you take your name and then you look at the Ashtotaram, 108 names, or you look at the Trisati, which is 300, or you look at the Saptasati, which is 700, or you look at the Sahasram, which is 1000. Definitely your name is there. So even if you have no time to pray to God, if your parents at the old age are calling, hey Ganesha, come here, hey Sharavana, come here, hey Subramanya, come here, if they leave their breath at that time, they have mentioned Subramanya. So they get Subramanya Anugraham. Right? Entirely your choice. Tell you one anecdote here, right? Shiva and Parvati in Kailash once, whilst they were talking, and then they were looking at Bhuloka, and Shiva said, you see that man climbing the coconut tree? He's going to fall down and die. So Parvati says, Bhagavan, aren't you going to go and save him? Shiva says, I will if he calls me. And then Parvati says, well, what if he doesn't call you? He calls me. He said, well, then you should go and save. And the next question comes, how will we know if he is calling you or calling me? So they said anything that refers to Shiva, anything that refers to the male energy, that means any male name, Shiva will go. Anything that refers to the female name or the female aspect of energy, Shakti, Devi will go. So they agreed, okay, whatever name he calls, if it is male, I will go to his aid and save him. Whatever name he calls, which is female in character, female in nature, you should go and save him. So they agreed. And this joker, when he falls from that coconut tree, what does he say? He doesn't say any male name, he doesn't say any female name. He says, Ayyo, and he falls. Shiva will say, that is not one of my names. And Shakti will say, definitely not one of mine. So he took a backstab and fell to his death. So names are very, very, very important, right? So that is why whenever somebody tells me their name, I will always ask them, I have this habit, do you know the meaning of your name? Especially modern parents, right? They give a beautiful name and then they will shorten it. What's the point? You're given a name, call the name in full. Then you'll realize the power of the name it becomes, Until today, we are talking about E equals MC squared, isn't it? The moment you say E, somebody will say E equals MC squared. So it is a whole thing that is said completely, not just one part of it. So your names are something like that, So all that is not achieved, all that you desired, yet dhyati tat ichchati, but if you didn't do, then it's na ichchati, then it goes to sanchita. Oh, you wanted to do this, right? Now let me give you another life. See if you can quell this desire. See if you can curtail this desire. See if you can curb this desire. There you go, this lifetime now. If you do that, you're fine. But if you get caught in this web of samsara, then you will have the consequences to face. That entirely is your choice. So is there no way to sanchita? Now we come to sanchita. I told you how you can get rid of prarabdha. How to reduce sanchita in this lifetime, brother? Of course you can. I think everybody has sung this verse from this very, very famous shloka to Lord Shiva. I'm going to sing it and then you'll realize where sanchita comes in. Right? How many times you would have sung it? Or how many times you would have listened to people sing it? Now when you listen to it, the next time, I want you to reflect on sanchita karma. Just sanchita karma when you repeat this line. What is that? Kunkuma chandana lepita lingam pankajahara sushobita lingam sanchita papa vinashaka lingam Tat pranamami sada shivalingam. Lingashtakamidam punyam yakpate shiva sannidhau. Shivalogam avapnote shivena sahamodate. It's telling you, if you recite this, I will sort your Sanchita Papa out. What more you want? What more can I say when the word has already been given? Do this and you will be sorted. Now, start singing this every day. Not just singing it, right? Living in the song that you are singing. Bhakti Marga and Jnana Marga is the only way you can cull, C-U-L-L, cull your past karma. Living in this life by giving, not by taking. Help ever, hurt never. Not in your thoughts, not via your words, not through your actions. Then you're doing this. And when you sing to him, Pankajahara Sushobhita Lingam, Sanchita Papa Vinashaka Lingam, Tat Pranamami Sadha Shivalingam. And I've explained to you the concept of the science behind the Shivalinga. The base is Brahma, the creative force. The centerpiece that goes around, the yoni, that is Vishnu, the preservative force, the sustaining force, and the top, that is Rudra, the defining force. What a fantastic science we have. How much? No, we focus on scoring on a science subject in school. We focus on scoring in physics in school. We focus on scoring in chemistry, in biology, in all kinds of logic, but we have no logic to see what is that which can help us so that we don't have. So Sanchita, whatever you've accumulated, will crystallize at some point. When it crystallizes, it matures into prarabdha and it comes out. It is the wheel of sustenance. The flow of dense energy in the form of merits and demerits. You get merits, you're happy, right? When you get demerits, you accept and move on because you know it is a wheel. Demerits will come, demerits will go, merits will come, merits will go, demerits will come. So you have the potential to only do merit. Why don't you do it? So that is the wheel I'm talking to you about. You have the power, what? You can't escape. Sanchita is what you put inside. So what you put inside is down to you. Look, when a bird is alive, it eats the ants. But when the bird dies and falls to the ground, the ants eat the bird. As you do, so will you receive. As you sow, so will you reap. One tree is cut and made into 1 million matchsticks, but only one matchstick you need to burn 1 million trees. Karma. Circumstances and time, they don't change. You can change yourself to accommodate yourself to those changing circumstances and time. Swami says, do good always, be good always, think good always, speak good always, then you will feel good always. So, see, in the final analysis, right, only you and you only are in total and absolute control. Forgive. People are always unreasonable, brother. They're always illogical. They're self-centered. Forgive. You're a better person than them. And forgive without having the thought of people must know I'm forgiving them. No. Then it becomes award, reward, or recognition. No point. I forgive them. You know. Who else should know? Only him, right? Then why you worry? My neighbor doesn't know what good I've done. The society should know what I'm doing. No. He knows, that's it. Because nothing, no reference, no person of any VIP status can come and vouch for you after you're dead. Even if they do, it is not entertained. Because Yamaraja and Dharmaraja will do what they have to do based on what you have done. Right? If you are kind, and people say, that fellow has got, some hidden motives. He must be selfish. He must have some ulterior motive. Be kind anyway. So what? Did Buddha change despite all the criticisms he got? No. Did Swami change despite all the bad press that he got? No. If you are successful, you'll win some friends. Otherwise, you'll have some very good friends. Right? True friends you will have. Not friends who attach themselves to who you are or what you have or what your presence is in society. If you're honest and frank, people may cheat you. So what? You have to build on that. Be honest, be frank. If they cheat you, it's their karma. Right? And just because, for example, you're a lawyer, it doesn't mean you have to sue everybody, right? If you're serene and happy, others may be jealous. Why, that fellow? He's not as rich as me. But you look at him, he's always smiling, So always you see that shanti on his face. Be happy anyway. Give that out. People must tell you, brother, whenever I come in your midst, right, I feel a sense of peace. I feel happy, I forget my sadness. That's when you are making a difference, people. That is when you are making a difference. Yad karoti tad bhavami, So, you see, at the end, it is between you and karma. It is never between you and another person. So do the right thing. How people treat you is their karma. How you react is yours. I say to you, don't react, respond. Then you don't have a problem. Respond. So I'm going to finish by telling you a story, right? Story, like why do you suffer? Once a king wanted to give a big feast to his kingdom. He wanted to feed all the Brahmins because they're doing good work and all of that. So he told the cook, come, cook a huge meal for all the Brahmins. So the cooks were cooking in, open air and all that, because huge feast. And all the Brahmins from all the surrounding areas from the kingdom were called. When the cook was cooking down, there was an eagle flying above. And the eagle had just caught a snake before it took its flight, right? The snake was trying to escape, was trying to wriggle out. In trying to wriggle out, the snake tried to open its mouth to bite. And it spewed some poison out. Of course, the eagle was flying very fast. So the poison, instead of going up, fell down because, gravity. And it fell into the food that was being cooked. That was being cooked by the cooks on the order of the king. Of course, the cooks didn't realize it, because... So then they served the food and, all the Brahmins that ate the food on that day died. So the king was very, very sad. He said, oh my God, what have I done? Everybody was sad. So the king said, stop this, because everybody will stop coming anyway. What's the point of wasting? So then the case was referred to Lord Yama. And the question was, who should bear the karma of the death of all these Brahmins? All the priests, rather. So who are the players here? The king. He's the one who ordered the meal in the first place. So if he didn't order the meal, nothing would have happened. Secondly, the cooks, the chefs, they were the ones who were cooking. Who asked them to cook in that spot for the poison to fall? The snake, the giver of the poison, or the eagle, the transporter of the poison to a point where the poison fell. So who is going to get the karma of all this death? So Yamaraja, like most of the time happens in the court cases, a deferred judgment. Deferred judgment, I will decide on this in a few days' time. Okay? Right, so, a couple of weeks passed, and one day, some other Brahmins came from some faraway land because they had heard that, this king was cooking and meals for Brahmin priests. So they came into the village, and the first house they came in was the house of a lady who was in old age, but she was very a disgruntled person. So they went to her and they asked her, Amma, where is this king giving all this meal? The lady said, yeah, if you go there straight, there is a big tent there. That is where it happens. But only go there if you want to die, because this king likes to kill Brahmins. right? He's killed so many Brahmin trees because of that. So if you want to go to your death, go and eat. At that time, Yamaraja decided that the person who will get the karma for all the dead Brahmins was this lady. So Chitragupta, who is, Yama's right-hand man, senior assistant registrar, Chitragupta asked, how come? Why is it not the king? Why is it not the chef? Why is it not the snake? Why is it not the eagle? This woman had nothing to do with it. Why are you taking, all the karmas of all these dead people and putting it on her head? And Yama said, you see, the king, the chefs, the snake, and the eagle, none were, directly responsible for what happened, right? Of course, there's a chain of events and it happened. But they were all very sad because of the death. Very sad and very moved. But this lady joyfully said to the Brahmins, that is where they are saving, go and eat, because you will also die like all of them. So she had so much of joy for something that she should not have taken joy in. As a result of which, she gets to bear the karma. So whatever you think, whatever you say, whatever you do, basically what? Absence of right thinking, absence of right action or right conduct will attract negative karma. That is the moral of this story. Absence of right thinking, absence of right action will attract negative karma. Okay? Remember, we have the choice of what action we perform. But after we perform those actions, we have no choice of the reaction. So focus on the action and in the way that you do that action. The reaction is our fate, because we have created. The reaction only came because of our action, isn't it? So the reaction is your fate, that is your karma. So you are in actual control. You are in actual control of your karma. How beautiful is that? Now you know you cannot blame anyone else. So that is prarabdha karma and sanchita karma. Next week, I will conclude karma by looking at the other two concepts, agame karma and kriyamana karma. स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यां परिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महीमहीषा गोब्राह्मणेभ्यो शुभमस्तु नित्यं समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु हरिः ओम्. So brother,
Simon,
any questions?
Another wonderful session, so much to think about and contemplate on. Thank you. So the question is, first one is, if we believe in reincarnation, how and why are these new souls created?
Sorry, read that again. Doesn't sound right.
If we believe in reincarnation, how or why are these new souls being created?
New souls. See, you answer the question, then you ask the question. The reason souls are created is to exhaust their previous karma. And that can only be exhausted by birth, death, and rebirth. Remember, I said this before, birth, death, and rebirth. So it's a continuous cycle. So you are born because you have done some good punyas and also some bad. So in this life, you will serve the good. The good will balance the bad. If it's not exhausted, next life. Because remember, in this life also you are accumulating, isn't it? Anyada Sharanam.
Okay. The next question is, I'd like to know more about how other people's icha can affect me. How to protect oneself from other people's negative wishes for you. And surely a powerful sattvic pure person's blessing is more important and creative than the person's thoughts. Example, like a pure guru or rishi versus being with a lower vibration.
Okay. What do you mean by pure guru? This is like outside you go, you see pure vegetarian. To me, it holds no meaning. A guru is a guru, right? Once the guru says, you don't question. If you question, then you've not accepted him as guru. If you follow, then the guru takes your karma as long as you dedicate your actions, whether in thought, words, and deeds to him. Other people's iksha, why should it bother you? You follow your own. Why do you listen? If the story that I said earlier, right? If you listen, then forget it. If you don't listen, good, carry on. Because karma is like Krishna. It will say, these are the cards. If you do this, this you'll get. If you do that, that you'll get. If you do this, you'll get. If you don't do this, is what you'll get. Choice is yours. So you can't choose to do something and then say, oh, because that person said, because that person will think this way, because they will speak in that way, I had to do it. No, nonsense. None of this, arguments will work when you go up there. Right? Did you do this? Did you say this? Did you think this? Did you facilitate this? Did you execute this? You cannot say because of Mr. X or Miss Y. No, no. Did you do this? Just answer yes or no. Everything will be yes. Then face. At that time, you're going to say, I didn't have a pure guru. Then Chitragupta will say, who asked you to follow him then? You exercised your own intelligence to follow him, right? Now you face the consequences. So, intelligence, if it is not used, buddhi, then you will become a buddhu. Don't get me wrong, that is the actual thing, isn't it? If you are given buddhi and you don't use, then you are buddhu. Not buddhiman, buddhu man. Same word. Sairam, this is the next one.
In illness, is there any point in having medicine? Are we delaying payment of karma? If the pain is relieved by a pill.
Okay, don't take medicine, suffer. By taking medicine is not a cure, my dear friends. Ask any doctor, they'll tell you. Ask any qualified doctor, is medication the cure to your ailment? They will say, no, it is a suppression of symptoms. I can challenge any doctor, any medical doctor on this. So you are taking that medication just to be comfortable for a while. Then it's time again to take that medication. Then it's time again to take that medication. Choice is yours. If you don't want to take, you will only die at the time you're meant to die. Just because you don't take your medicine doesn't mean you'll die 3 days earlier. Please move away from that thought. Next one, sister.
Can you please give an example of an anachya karma? Anachya karma? One with no desire. To clarify it further for me, please.
Okay, where you put into, it's called state of affairs. State of affairs. Inadvertently you can say something. Unintentfully you can say something or do something that puts into motion a state of affairs that causes some consequences. And that is anicca. Iccha, anicca, pariccha. Iccha is you desire. Anicca is you don't desire, but you have done something to contribute to the consequences. And pariccha is what others desire and you are caught in that web. And you put into motion some events that give rise to consequences.